So welcome, Barbaro, to AUREA Leaders. Pleasure having you here today. If we could just begin by introducing yourself and what it is that you do.
Yeah, so my name is Barbaro Cacio. I work in the holistic health field, holistic lifestyle coaching, train entrepreneurs consciously, work with organic superfoods, speak a lot and exist a lot in authenticity, simplicity, all that type of stuff. So I try to keep stuff as simple as possible for clients, for customers, for business partners, for everybody, because we're living in an age of intense complexity, and I think simplicity is really going to bring it all together and really elevate people more than they might think.
Yeah. So okay. Since we are at this AUREA Leaders, and AUREA is the golden age. What does the golden age mean to you personally?
Golden age means to me that kind of goes back to what I just said. People are way too stressed out on a lot of things that don't really matter in the long run, and they've kind of lost themselves, and they're not really focused on the simple things that can get a lot of results. So like just taking care of their body, clean health, being conscious with their money, where they're spending it, how they're earning it, what they're doing for business, all that type of stuff. And also, like I just said, supporting, like what are they supporting with their dollars and their energy? What is their energy going into? Because all the money's energy, and wherever that's flowing is what's going to get the main results. Right now, that's flowing to all the stuff that's the opposite of the golden age, for the most part.
Yes.
Right.
So what would you say to someone who maybe they've kind of heard of some of your topics, this holistic and health and wellness, but they don't really know and they're interested. What would be the first step for that person?
First step for that person would be I talk a lot about organic nutrition.
Okay.
So the body, as far as your metabolism, your brain health, your gut health, your muscle health, all that type of stuff, posture. Then I go into beyond that. So that's like the more meditation stuff, more yoga type stuff, the more spiritual type stuff, psychological, emotional, even financial is a part of all that too. So talk a lot about that type of stuff with business. So it's kind of like everything. Holistic really is everything together. But I do like to start people with their physical health, because without that basic part, it's really hard to get to the next level. That's a pretty basic level, and it's a missing level for a lot of people.
Absolutely, and there's a lot of people that think that they're being healthy, but in fact, they're not. That's a whole different other topic.
Right, yeah, there's a lot of scams and a lot of marketing that are taking people down the wrong path, and I'm here to at least offer my service of being able to guide them in a better direction that fits them. I try to make everything as relatable as possible to that person. So instead of just throwing everybody into a cookie cutter thing, I try to connect with them. If they're able to connect, great. Send them on a direction that can work with them.
Yeah, and you've mentioned the word simplicity several times. So how would you simplify this whole process? Because it can be overwhelming for someone who is either just starting out, or even someone like me who I feel like I've been on my wellness journey, and sometimes I'm like, brain health, and now I have to work out, and now I have to pay attention to all the ingredients, and then now organic, and then the dirty dozen, and they can get just a little too much. So how does one begin to simplify that?
The easiest way is to really see what's really working for yourself. Right? And that could take a little bit of experimenting. Okay. It's not always going to be one thing's going to work for everybody, straight path. So it's experimentation and ditching stuff quick that's not working. Okay. And moving on to something that is, and having a good support mechanism, whether that's people or whatever it is, online community, that can help guide you in the right direction that you say that you want to go in. So when I say simplicity, it's also getting away from all the overcomplicated statistics and technicalities of everything, and trying to be everything and thinking you need to be an expert in something just to know how to do it, when really you just do it, and you're becoming the expert as you're doing it in the process, instead of having to go through this whole online degree thing. Not being too scattered with a bunch of different information. The information online is super complex and scattering. And as someone gets more scattered, it's easy to fall into different complex things, because when you're more focused, it's pretty simple. And when you're more scattered, it's like, oh, I need to learn all this different stuff. And oh, this guy's saying this girl's saying that. This person looks like this and they're saying that. So it gets confusing.
Yes.
And that's on purpose. That's on purpose by whatever the system is, to keep us confused. And then that way you just end up being a subordinate to some authority system instead of yourself. right? Because we all have that wisdom in ourselves. We kind of know intuitively if we're really on the right path. And some of us try to force ourselves along to something that's not working. This is what I've seen a lot. I mean, I've talked to thousands of people with all this stuff. So there's different varying degrees, of course. And like I said, sometimes that searching process is valid and does work, because it might take 10 or 20 different things before somebody finds their actual thing that fits them the best, right? For their personal golden age, which is the beginning of everything, because there is no big golden age on a big scale without everyone having a golden age internally first. Because it is the I, we all, right? It starts with the I, then it goes to we, then it goes to everything.
Absolutely.
And a lot of the world right now is set up to where people are focusing the opposite way. So they'll try to start with the all. They're trying to fix everything else, and they're not focusing on themselves.
Or point their finger at someone else.
They haven't done the work, right? So I just like to facilitate that process of actually doing the work while I'm doing it myself. I'm not just somebody that just tells everybody else to do everything and doesn't do it. Like, I like to call myself out. I like to be called out and held accountable, too. And that's the kind of stuff I do with clients and business partners. Everybody. I mean, in the nicest way possible, without, being too rude or interrogating or whatever it is,
Yeah. Do you have any beliefs that kind of, and you've already mentioned a little bit, but kind of just go against, conventional wisdom? Anything that might be a little out there for people to comprehend? Do you have anything like that?
Beliefs is a tricky topic. I mean, I do have a perception that a lot of the current world in society is designed to basically, it's weaponized to take us out in a way, at some level, physically, mentally, whatever. Right? A lot of the technologies, a lot of the foods, a lot of the different relationships we're placed in, the buildings, whatever. Like, everything at some level is weaponized to kind of break you down. And basically, when you're broken down, you're going to go back to whoever your God or dad or whatever is, right? And you're not going to, it's harder to take control of yourself that way, right? It's harder to take charge of yourself. You're being taken charge of most of the time. So that would be my main thing, is that everything is kind of designed and weaponized at the current world right now. And this is changing, of course, part of the golden age and all that. But everything is designed right now by whatever has control of it to take us out and basically just keep us in a little matrixy type thing, easier to control.
And that's why it's important to take control of yourself, start with yourself, experiment, don't just take someone's idea as absolute truth, and maybe your answer lies somewhere in between of what everyone is saying you're supposed to do, but it's with the experimentation process in which you find the way.
Yeah, and it's a journey. It's not like a destination. You keep doing it. Because you can get there and easily lose it.
Absolutely.
And sometimes the hardest part is to stay. It's not to get there, it's to stay.
To stay.
Like, I have stuff all the time, and I'm not even fully there, but I have stuff all the time that comes in, people that come in to try to pull me back to where I used to be. Or like get me to do different things, and I'm like, oh God, this is like a distraction.
Test.
It's called the resistance. Right? There's always that resistance that's going to come get you when you're on a mission.
Yeah, and I'm assuming habits play a big role, because once you make your new life more of a habitual response, all of those other people and things that try to test you, it becomes easier to turn it down because you've seen the rewards of not going down that path.
Right, exactly. And sometimes you make the mistake of falling for it for a little bit, and you're like, oh crap, I just see what that did to myself.
Yeah.
I'm not doing that again. Right? So sometimes it's too serious for some people. They'll say, oh, you're not fun or whatever, but hey, we all have our missions, and we all have what we like to do, and mine is to keep going.
To keep going.
Yeah.
Yeah, and sometimes you need that contrast. You need the contrast to see, oh yes, this is why I'm doing what I'm doing.
Yeah, it's all about checking into the why. Like, what is the reason for doing it? And why am I doing it? Why do I care enough to help others or try to help others do it? Right?
Yeah.
And also be quick to not extend the help if they don't want it. Like, I'm not going to try to force help on someone that doesn't want it, right? Yeah. So everyone's got their quote-unquote free will to do whatever they want. Yeah. And it's not my job to dictate that. Like, they can do whatever. But I'm here to help support if that's what they want.
Yeah. When the student is ready, the teacher appears, is what they say. So.
And the teacher also learns a ton from the student.
Yep. Yeah, I believe that we're both teachers and students at the same time, simultaneously. So
absolutely.
You do learn a lot in teaching. So what would you say is your hopes and your goals for the golden age, your personal dreams and hopes for this new age that we're stepping into?
Yeah, well, my big thing it's like I said, a lot of the simple stuff to get people back to not being stressed out all day about stupid stuff and like trying to chase certain things, chase a certain image, chase a certain dollar amount, chase a certain like status or label, all that type of stuff. And people will just be able to live pretty simple. And you can still live nice with simple. Like everything can still exist in a simple way. And then also just coming back to the basics, you know, good solid family structure, good solid personal health, which is going to lead to everything, and a lot less of like the poisons and all the weaponry, all that type of stuff.
Absolutely.
So all that type of stuff is, and that might not be a peaceful transition. I don't really have the answer to that, but that would be an awesome one, right? When we do get there.
Yeah. And so what are you currently working on right now? Because I know it's been a journey for you, and it sounds like there's like a deep story in there of how you got here. There always is, right? When we saw like that moment of truth and decided to pursue a new path. Where are you now in that journey? What are you actively working on yourself? And are there any, can that be broken down into some practicals? Like, can you give us some takeaways and like let us use some of that as practical steps for our own lives, so that we can maybe just, you know, be able to go home and do some of the things that you're doing currently.
Yeah. So one of the things I'm working on myself is to not be so quick to judge and write people off or write situations off, and not try to think that or feel that only my outlook is the right one, because I used to do that a ton. And that's a big trap too when you're in, you know, the spiritual community or the holistic community. You get real dogmatic. It's easy to get dogmatic. And I try to see the good in everything, even the weaponry and all the, you know, the nonsense. I try to see what good part of it there is. I try to pull that now a lot more, and not focus so much on like, oh, this is the negative, this, like we're all screwed, like, because I used to do that a lot. I used to have a real defeatist mentality. Whereas now I'm like, you know, we're good. Like regardless, we're good. I'm more neutral with stuff, working on neutrality. So like stuff doesn't bother me as much. Like it's not that I don't have an intention or an expectation, but it's just not as like, I'm not like so bound by it. Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, that makes perfect sense.
Right.
Yeah.
So I'm easier to kind of let go. Like, okay, that's just what it is for now.
Yeah, let go.
So
do your
a lot
part.
of neutrality practicing.
Neutrality practicing.
Yeah.
So can you, okay, I know this was supposed to be a practical step, but can you, what could I do right now to be more neutral? So you said let go of judgment, right? And so how do I trust that things are just going to work themselves out?
Yeah, so it's kind of a complicated thing, but it's not. It's actually kind of simple, because neutrality can be looked at as something that's like you're just being passive. That's not what I really mean. It's just that you're not overly attached to the outcome.
Yeah.
So let's say I want to earn, I don't know, 100 grand this year or whatever. Like, I don't care if I only earn 30. I really don't. Like, I'm still grateful for the 30. So it's kind of being grateful for whatever part of whatever expectation that you wanted, like whatever part you actually get and have. The gratitude is really helps that. Like, if you're grateful for what you have, that's how you get more too. That's how you go further to where you want to go, is being grateful for your steps and your losses along the way. And that's part of neutrality, is like you're not overly attached to one thing. So you're not passive though. You still have to go take the steps and go in the right direction that you want to go, but you're just neutral to the outcome. So, but you have an intention. You do have an intention. Like, I do want to see healing here. I do want this. But you're neutral to it.
Yeah, absolutely. And just one final question: is there a message that you can give a striving leader or spiritual entrepreneur in this golden age? What would you tell them?
I would tell them to be themselves, and if they're not comfortable with themselves, then work on that. That's only going to accelerate whatever entrepreneurship thing you do. It's just really finding your own authenticity, what you really like, and keeping it simple in the process. And you're going to attract the right people and the right support system. And you're going to repel the wrong one. Like, not everybody's for everybody, right? So that would be my main thing, is just keep it as you. Authenticity you, simplistic you. And then bam, you just take the steps and keep going, keep it consistent. You know, you don't try it for a week or a month, keep going. It's going to happen.
So as a thought leader, as, you know, a spiritual entrepreneur here at AUREA leaders. What would you say, what value have you gained from being here?
Well, I mean, the venue is really great. That's number one. There's a nice spot. It's Miami, all that type of stuff. So, but a lot of value. There's a lot of good people here. There's a lot of people that, you know, really want golden age type stuff, entrepreneurs. And entrepreneurship is a journey, and it's not easy. So, like, I already respect someone right when they say they're an entrepreneur, just because they're doing the work, or they're gone, like they're out of business, right? But as far as here, the speaking's great. It's always good practice to get in front of a camera, get in front of people, share it as what you're doing, share it as what you love, what you have to offer. And then there's also all kinds of potential customers, clients, business partners, relationship potential. You never know what you're going to meet. That's the best part of all. And especially if you're not in this local area, like people come from everywhere. So you can meet people across the country, maybe world. I mean, I'm sure there's maybe some international here. So all that stuff. I mean, that is entrepreneurship, is getting connections, building connections, establishing relationships. That is like the basics of entrepreneurship, and this is a perfect spot to do it. Yep. And a lot of people that are on a similar path to you, if you're really into like the golden age and seeing the elevation of humanity and the world and all that. So that's the good parts.
Beautiful. Thank you so much, Barbaro. It's
welcome.
Been a pleasure speaking with you, and hopefully I get to connect with you.
Yeah.
AUREA Leaders at some point. Thanks.
Yeah, you're welcome. Thanks for having me. It's great.
Of course.